All right, this is going to be a good one. Today is Wednesday, May the 13th. I am up 50 points on the day today, just a bit over a 2.2 R. But the main thing about today, this was the last trade needed, my last winning day, in order to request a payout. So, this is what the account is looking like. 5 out of 5 days with over $150. And I need to still wait until 5 p.m. for the end of the trading day until it allows me to take it. But I'm going to be going to work, so I'll just be doing that after work. So definitely a pretty good day. Going to be able to request this payout. Obviously it won't be a huge payout. It'll be after the profit split. It's pretty much going to be 500 something dollars. Pretty much exactly 500 bucks, I think. It's pretty much going to be exactly 500 after the profit split, which is around 700 Canadian. So, should be pretty good. I've had this account now. I wonder if it says anywhere. Well, I could just do this. So I could go over really quick here. This is the calendar. So the main thing, which obviously was the case here. Yeah, so I started trading this account in March. Going into the last week of March, I remember actually now. So it was the last week of March which I passed the eval, and I started trading this account. Loss, win, loss, loss. I was going on quite a losing streak actually at one point. Got a really good win here at the start of April. I remember that. That was my biggest day on this account. This was the only trade of this week because there was lots of uncertainty with the war news. And then after that, I was going on a pretty brutal losing streak once again for the last 2 weeks of April going into the start of May. So this third week of April took 2 break-evens, 1 loss. The fourth week, I took a break-even and a loss. And then the fifth week here, or pretty much the last week of April, took 2 losses here. And then I took another loss here last week. And so by this time here, this was after pretty much excluding the break-evens, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses in a row. I took 5 losses in a row. After this loss, I genuinely had $220 of drawdown left on this account. $220 of drawdown I had left on this account. That was one singular trade. This trade right here, I de-risked because I had to. But this was pretty much full porting the rest of my drawdown, which was $220 of drawdown, which I quote unquote full ported, and ended up making 530 bucks there. Yesterday I took a break even, which shows negative 20, but I don't really think it was that much of a loss. Whatever, doesn't matter. And then today took the last winning day necessary. So pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winning days right here. And this was the final trade necessary today to take in order to take the payout. So pretty fire. That's what we are looking like right now. Now I don't got a whole lot of time, so I'll go over the trade that I took today. And the other thing about today, which was pretty cooked, was I didn't even wake up for market open. I genuinely woke up at 10:30. I woke up at 10:30, quickly got ready, hopped on the charts. This was the trade that I took, by the way. So I woke up at 10:30, quickly got ready. I hopped on the charts pretty much at 10:45. I did my analysis real quick, saw something which looked very clean to me, and I executed at 10:52. So I literally hopped on the charts, and then less than 10 minutes later, I saw something which I liked. I took it, and it played out. This is probably one of the latest trades that I've taken in a long time, if not like ever, which was a winning trade. Entering at 10:52, and I held this through 11, pretty much going into 11:01. So that is what I took. But pretty cooked, like I said, because I woke up at 10:30 and I missed this entire first hour of market open. I first woke up and I was just like, ain't no way. I really slept in and I missed the market open. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot, but I got on the charts and honestly looked very clean to me, so I ended up taking it. I'll get into that and why I did it, but anyway, PPI this morning. And this Fed chair nomination, that was at 2:40 p.m., I guess. So I don't really know what happened there. Oh, okay. So it looks like this guy, Warsh, is the Fed chair now. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, 8:30 news this morning. I didn't even check about the data highs and lows, where that was at. So, oh, data highs were up here. Oh, shit. No way. That's actually crazy because I was targeting this shit. I didn't even realize. Wow. That's crazy. I genuinely did not even realize that data highs were left above here. But they were. And that's where my trade was overall drawing towards. Okay, interesting. Anyway, that's aside from my analysis because, like I said, I did not even realize that up until right now. So I'm going to go over pretty much just my trade here because I can't give a fully accurate analysis of the AM like market open because I was not on the charts at that time. But when I got on the charts around 10:30, this is what I was looking at. Looking at the 4-hour here, seeing how NQ and ES both left relative equal highs with all-time highs here. So all-time highs left relative equal on both assets. The 10 a.m. candle closed on the 4-hour bearish, trading all the way down and inversing these two 4-hour BISIs on NQ. ES had traded lower going into 10 a.m. and was rejecting out of this 4-hour BISI down here. Okay. I looked in on the hourly. This is where NQ traded down towards going into 10 a.m. NQ was rejecting out of this hourly BISI right here. ES rejecting out of this hourly BISI down here. Hourly SMT with these lows right here. So this was the external SMT. Resting above price. Like I said, all-time highs had relative equal highs here and here as well. So relative equal highs on both assets. Aside from that, 10 a.m. with the closure of this 9 a.m. candle on the hourly opened up this unmitigated hourly SIBI on both assets. So both assets had this unfilled hourly SIBI which was resting above. So okay, cool. We're rejecting out of the hourly on NQ, rejecting out of the 4-hour on ES, external SMT, and trading higher towards this unfilled hourly SIBI which is resting above, and the relative equal highs which are at all-time highs. So in this case, the 4-hour closed more bearish, but overall we were rejecting these bullish gaps. So this was one of those situations. It was pretty clear to me that if price wants to work higher, of course we're going to trade up through the hourly SIBI, which was unmitigated. And if price is overall bearish, we're going to trade up into and reject down away from this hourly. So that was pretty much what I was looking like, but either way, my drawn liquidity was very clearly this hourly SIBI. So okay, cool. I look down on the lower time frames now. On the 15-minute, there was a 15-minute SIBI, or BISI, not SIBI. 15-minute BISI, which opened up here and opened up here as well. So these two 15-minute BISIs. Ideally, I did want to see at the start price to retrace down into this 15-minute before continuing higher. That did not happen though, so I just adapted to what was actually happening, because one thing which was just overall very clear to me was the unfilled hourly SIBI being the draw. This was very clear to me. So ideally, yes, I would have seen this 15-minute get a retracement too, but that did not end up happening. So what I was looking at, on the 5-minute, there was this 5-minute BISI right here. External SMT at the low, and then there was this 5-minute. Price had retraced down into this 5-minute, tapping into it here, filling through it fully on ES, before continuing to trade higher. Mind you, I got on the charts literally right here at like 10:40 to 10:45 is when I got on the charts. So I'm looking at this, I'm already seeing how price is already rejected out of the 5-minute BISI. And on top of that, there was already an internal SMT. Internal SMT was put in with this 1-minute BISI right here. So the low of this candle, inside of this 1 minute, this is where the internal SMT was formed. And price was trading right around here. So this is the point now, pretty close before my entry. And the 15-minute BISI is resting below pretty much this low, if I'm correct. I think so. Yeah. So I'm looking at price and I'm thinking, okay, well, ideally price does this, remanipulates lower into the 15-minute, puts in a new internal SMT, and then continues higher. But I was also just watching price, seeing how it's continuously trading higher, closer and closer towards the unfilled hourly. So it wasn't looking like price wanted to get that retracement all the way down to here. And on top of that, price really did not need to give that retracement whatsoever, because we already had an internal SMT rejecting out of this 5-minute. So there's no reason why price would have to remanipulate this low, considering we already have this SMT and inversion here on the 1 minute out of the 5-minute. It was not necessary. I also was just forward testing this entry for the sake of it, but this would have got break even if this was initially taken off of the rejection of the 5-minute with this internal SMT. The first 30-second inversion is right here, so if this entry had been taken, 22-point stop, this would have hit 1-to-1, and this would have got stop break even. So okay, that's that. I'm noting a few things at this time. We've already rejected the 5-minute with an internal SMT. Already have an external high time frame SMT at the low, rejecting out of the hourly and the 4-hour on ES. Have a very clear draw above, which is the unfilled hourly SIBI, and also all-time highs as relative equal highs. And another thing, which of course now in hindsight I could say, because like I said, in the moment I did not notice this, but now looking back, I'm realizing data highs were also resting above. That's another very strong draw on liquidity. So there was multiple strong draws to the upside. On ES, true day open was resting above. On NQ, we've traded past true day open, kind of getting a rejection off of true day open right here. So what do I take the entry off of? Well, this 30-second BISI opens up here. Price beginning to slow down a bit. Another thing I should note, this break even, this is where I went break even. This is also the AM session highs. So this is the 9:30 candle wick. I could put that. So this is pretty much what the AM highs was looking like. AM highs was the 930 candle wick, which was also very close by. I'm watching price continue to trade higher, rejecting out of this 5-minute with an internal SMT. So I'm at this point looking for some sort of retracement and another internal SMT to get put in with confirmation that price wants to continue higher towards this hourly, because we were now very close to it. So this 30-second BISI opens up here and price trades down into this 30-second. Internal SMT is put in here at the lows, go down to the 15 because there was no other fair value gaps. And I am taking note of the last 15-second SIBI of this internal range. So I'm looking at this overall internal range, looking at how close we are to the AM highs, which is the 930 wick, how close we are to this hourly unfilled SIBI, and true day open is also above on ES, and we're continuing to hold bullish, rejecting out of this 5-minute with already an internal SMT. So the last 15-second SIBI of this entire leg of price, which is the internal range of price retraces into this 30-second, gets an internal SMT, and then trades higher with solid displacement towards the AM session highs, putting in this 15-second inversion right here. So this is what I take my entry off of. Immediately pretty much off of this candle closure at 283.50. And this was an extremely quick break even. That is another reason why I took this, because it was a very low risk trade. I was almost immediately going to go break even, considering this is the AM session highs, the 930 wick. So I was already counting on that. So in my opinion, I was taking this entry with almost no risk. I was taking this thinking to myself, okay, I'm either going to get immediately stop break even or price is just going to rip. Thankfully, price just ended up ripping, because this is one of those situations. It would have been very easy for me to just get stop break even though that would have been fine as well. But my point is that for price at this point in time to reverse completely down and stop me out, it was very low probability. So it was a very low risk trade that I took off this last 15-second inversion of the leg. Take the entry here, price rips higher, solid displacement, I go break even at this point, and pretty much price just continues to rip higher. Not a single tick of drawdown on this trade, just straight higher movement, which is exactly what I wanted to see. Price then trades up into the hourly SIBI at this point, and I'm going for 50 points. That was my profit target, 50 points. ES at this time had now tapped and started to reject off true day open. So this part began to sketch me out a little bit, because I was looking at this right here. So this pre-market high from 927 had already gotten taken on NQ, and ES had yet to take this internal high. So this high now had a bearish SMT. NQ tapped into the hourly SIBI, and ES began to reject off a true day open. So I was thinking to myself, okay, well, great, price is now going to reverse and stop me out, or stop me break even, whatever. So began to sketch me out a little bit, but I just held through because I needed this profit target anyway to be eligible for payout, because you need $1,000 minimum account balance. So I was just holding it through, got a little retracement here, and this is going into pretty much 11 a.m. But I was still confident that price would continue higher because ES still had this unfilled hourly SIBI resting above. Price continues to displace higher, going into 11 a.m. Pretty much right at 11, ES taps into the hourly, and we deliver straight to take profit right here. So 11:01, we hit TP. And that is about it. Little 15-second long here was a very low risk trade, like I said, because of how close the break-even point was to my entry, almost an instant break-even. So very low risk, and overall just following the trend and identifying the strength of bullish order flow, which was holding us with the rejection of this 5-minute, the rejection of the hourly and the 4-hour at the lows, and the rejection off this 30-second with the 15-second inversion. It wasn't just a random 15-second, but it was the last 15-second inversion of the leg, meaning there was not a single other fair value gap on any time frame higher than this or on the 15, which was still not inversed. This was the last fair value gap to inverse of this entire internal price structure. So that is why this was high probability in my eyes and very low risk. Zero drawdown, price just rips higher and ends up hitting TP for 50 points. So very nice, and not much else needs to be said. I do have to go to work, so gonna pretty much end it here. I was briefly also looking at the market open afterwards, like just before this trade recap. I was looking at this market open, and if I'm being honest, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity here which I saw. I definitely would have been more bearish bias going into the morning, just based off of everything. Like, I'm not going to go over it now because like I said, I need to go, but I would have been overall a little bit more bearish bias, and potentially here, let me just see, yeah, so it's just not too clean. Honestly, it's not too clean. There is a potential short here with this inversion, SMT with the high of this candle, but there's not even, I don't even think there's any higher time frame gap, if I'm being honest. Oh, there is. Okay, I see. There was a 5-minute right here, so yeah, this is a valid short. 5-minute SIBI gets tapped. SMT pretty much here with the high of this candle. 1-minute inversion, which I'm pretty sure this was also a 30-second. Entry would have been like that. 22-point stop. 50-point target would have looked pretty much like that. So yeah, that's valid. And of course this technically could have been held a lot lower as well, but yeah, so that's a valid short, I'd say. But cannot say a whole lot about that because this is just hindsight analysis, not anything which I was actively on the charts at this time. But overall, very good day today, of course, because I am now eligible for a payout. So just gonna wait and see at what point I could take that. Pretty much after work I will be able to, and not much else needs to be said. So going into tomorrow, most likely gonna be pretty risk off, if anything. Maybe I'll take something if something very clean presents itself, but overall just taking it easy for the rest of this week. And just going to stay patient. All glory to God for blessing me with all this continuous opportunity, because I very much do see it on a daily basis. So very grateful for that. Some 8:30 news tomorrow and then nothing much on Friday. So just going to end off this week on a good note. Nothing too crazy, but overall just really happy about this and overall about today. Despite me not waking up at market open, still hit a banger, and overall just crushed it this week so far, and continue to crush it moving forward. And not much else needs to be said. Either way, if I take something or not, I'll still post a recap tomorrow. So that's about it. God bless and peace.